on and always on. There's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
For years, we've been hearing about IoT.
Ooh, look, my cat just woke up. Let me put the lights on for her.
It's time to get real. This is about big, industry-changing things, complex things. It's about a network of things that includes this, and these, and that thing, and whatever this is. You've got more data than you can shake a stick at, and that stick generates data too. This is industrial-strength IoT. It connects turbines to power grids, pipeline operations to refineries, first responders to life-saving devices. It's a big challenge, and it makes a difference to our lives. So how do you meet it head-on? Not like this. Like this. Only Cisco can securely connect tens of thousands of assets at the farthest edge of your network to the heart of your business, no matter the scale. With security built in, not bolted on, and a flexible network to grow as your business expands. Now, IT's happy, ops are happy, innovation is accelerated, business is transformed, lives are improved. Between big ideas and big results, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
This is the data center, and it deals with demand. Demand that's coming from anywhere, any place, any device. Billions of things, millions of apps, clouds of all kinds, demands for capacity, for analytics, for real-time insights, giving customers exactly what they want. And it's all landing right here. But that's okay, because you're not just waiting for it. You've got ACI Anywhere, a remote control that gives you the power to answer any need, choose any cloud, manage and secure any demand, right from here. So tell them to bring it on. You're ready, anytime and anywhere. Cisco ACI goes anywhere. Cisco, the bridge to possible. The power is here, and here, but also here, and definitely here. Anywhere you need the full force and power of your infrastructure, hyper-converged. It's like having thousands of data centers, wherever you need them, powering applications anywhere they live, but managed from the cloud. So you can automate everything from here. Cisco HyperFlex goes anywhere. Cisco, the bridge to possible. National Instruments had a predicament. Bandwidth demands were on the increase. And while growth is good, their IT budget wasn't keeping pace. Not so good. IT needed to deliver more bandwidth to offices around the world while keeping spending under control. That's not so easy. Suddenly, the company that helps engineers accelerate innovation found themselves needing help. Oh, and it needs to be fast, flexible, affordable, and secure too. A tall order, but by no means an impossible one. Not with the decision to turn to us, the people who invented the network in the first place. Using a Cisco SD-WAN solution in Cisco services, we massively increased their bandwidth. Where their budget held them back, we propelled them forward. Now, most companies would be delighted right there, but we went further. Network deployments are faster than ever. And where their old network generated problem tickets faster than anyone could count, the number of WAN-related tickets has decreased 70% in the past year. All of this to prove that between those frozen processes of yours and free-flowing productivity, there's a bridge. Tell us what you're imagining, and we will build the bridge to get you there.
Stel je voor, de eerste zijde uit China. Kruiden uit Indië. Thee, rubber, suiker. Alle rijkdom van de wereld kwamen we hier, in deze plaats.
For over 500 years, the lifeblood of commerce has flowed in and out of the port of Rotterdam. Today, it's on a scale and at a speed never before imagined, until now.
There is a lot at stake. We have vessels entering the dangerous cargo. We have very large container carriers. If one gets stuck in the entrance, the entire harbor is jammed. Consequences, safety-wise and economically, are immense if something goes wrong. The logistics are easy, but to make the puzzle work, that is complicated.
Making the puzzle work is a network of sensors spread across the port's 41 square miles, providing terabits of data. 200 calculations a minute. Wind, tides, currents, and visibility to help guide 130,000 ships a year and protect 468 million tons of cargo.
In my function, in my job, the security is the main thing. If we have the right data and the reliability is proven, we can predict what the situation will be 3, 4, 5 hours in advance, and we can plan with that. After careful evaluation and planning, everything is possible in Rotterdam, and that's the thing we are proud of.
The confidence to run Europe's largest port, and one company delivers all that sensor data safely, delivers all that data securely. Between the storied past and a modern efficiency the Dutch would call
Ongelooflijk.
there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible. Here's a question. In a world where data goes everywhere, where does that put your data center? At the moment, trends are born, greeting customers with every detail they need. At the point where all your clouds meet and share. But also on watch, securing everything and everyone. In an uncentered world, you need a data center that extends to every branch, every device, every cloud, everywhere. The Cisco data center goes everywhere your data is. Between data everywhere and exactly where you need it, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
There is something unique about a baby's cry. Like no other sound, it stirs our instinct to nurture and protect. Unfortunately, those cries sometimes go unheard. Because in some neonatal wards in Uganda, there isn't enough equipment or staff. Now those cries can be heard with the help of a wearable monitor that displays critical information for each baby, enabling nurses to immediately respond with the proper care. This life-saving technology was developed by NeoPenda, a medical device company serving emerging markets and underserved people. Cisco's support helped NeoPenda further develop the technology that connects its devices. This is one more example of how Cisco empowers social entrepreneurs to use innovative technology to make the world better. Between a baby's cry and a nurse's care, there's a bridge.
Cisco, the bridge to possible.
Every day, every night, everywhere. People are living on the streets. We see it. We all know it's a problem. But what can we do? In Brisbane, Australia, 2 young mates decided to do something. They would start small. They decided not to call them homeless. They would call them friends. Then, they outfitted a van with a washer, dryer and a shower and hit the streets of Brisbane to wash their friends' clothes. OrangeSky was born. One van quickly became 2, then 4, then 20. The operation, staff, logistics needed to scale and quickly. So OrangeSky found a partner. Cisco tailored a Meraki network that can grow as they grow. Intuitive dashboards at the head office and robust Wi-Fi in every vehicle let OrangeSky monitor vans and onboard devices remotely via the cloud. Cisco WebEx connects leaders in real time with staff and volunteers. whose energy and enthusiasm is essential to the model's success. What happened? Something wonderful. While friends waited for their clothes to wash and dry, they talked. A simple connection. Joining a community. Perhaps for the first time in years. If one load of laundry can do that, who knows what's possible? Between cleaning clothes and creating a community, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
When mankind took its first steps on the moon, the images were captured with a lens made by Zeiss. When precision is in question, in manufacturing, science, medicine, anything, the answer, accurate to 200 billionths of a meter, is provided by Zeiss. Getting it right. Getting it precisely right. For nearly 2 centuries, Zeiss has set the standard for industrial precision and optic excellence. Looking forward, looking further, and innovating to get there. Now, technology is pushing us faster than ever toward a more connected world. Can Zeiss lead the way? They're already there. Zeiss has partnered with Cisco. Innovation and precision are now online. A team from Cisco Customer Experience working with Zeiss has designed an innovative IoT strategy, setting a new standard for Zeiss-connected data. Cisco Kinetic enables Zeiss to securely gather more information than ever, putting it to use in ways never before imagined, predicting performance and protecting uptime. Cisco WebEx brings Zeiss technicians and industrial customers together at a moment's notice, enabling innovation on the fly. The result? More advanced products, happier consumers, increased revenues. What they say is true. They don't make them like they used to. At companies using Zeiss, partnered with Cisco, they make them better. Between precision and the pace of business, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
I was running a plumbing business. It was great. We prospered and things were well. And then I got hurt and the spiral began.
Every night across America, 500,000 people go to sleep homeless.
When you're in the street, you are invisible. You're out there, nobody sees you.
You have to make hard choices, really hard choices.
As unimaginable as that is, even more are at risk of becoming homeless.
There are homeless from every profession. Plumbers, electricians, doctors, financiers, a quantum physicist.
Which is why we're committed to help put a roof over the heads of those who need one most. And for those at risk, helping them keep theirs.
With all the homeless people out there, we were chosen for an apartment. It's better than the lottery. This is a place to live.
Together, let's be the bridge to a place called home.
I don't know you, but I love you for what you've done and how you helped me.
Technology. There's never been more potential at your fingertips. But technology is only half the picture. Introducing Cisco Customer Experience. We're here to help you get the most out of your technology, because behind the billions of connections, we believe there needs to be a relationship. Someone who can position you for continuous innovation. Someone who can help you design a roadmap for your next 5 weeks or your next 5 years. Someone who can be with you from whiteboard to reality. We'll help you transform not just your technology, but your business. We understand that your customers expect a lot of you, and we're here to help you deliver. Innovating, creating, delivering, transforming, with the right people and the right technology together. This is Cisco Customer Experience. Between technology and where it can take you, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible. Technology often comes down to a choice. This or that. Do you need 5G or Wi-Fi 6? Mobility or security? Should you be in the cloud or a data center? Do you need this gen or next? The answer to all these questions is yes. Now you don't have to choose, because there's one network that's ready for anything. It's called intent-based networking, and it's only from Cisco. A system built for Wi-Fi 6? Yes. And ready for 5G? Yes. And the numerous machine languages of the IoT? Yes. What about security and threat detection? VR, AR, AI?
The answer to your question is yes.
Intent-based networking from Cisco. Wireless first, cloud-driven, data optimized. Between what's now and what's next, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
So I want to simplify the experience for our users. I want to help business move faster. I want to secure our future. I am a Chief Information Security Officer, a CISO. It is my job to make the company safe. Problem is, I haven't even had a sip of coffee yet. That's not mine. Oh, thank you. Here's Julie. It starts with a simple problem. Users have to use applications and data to do their jobs. But with breaches leveraging passwords weaker than this coffee, criminals don't break in anymore, they log in. I want to get us headlines for the right reasons, not the wrong ones. How do I know it's really you trying to access the HR records? It's no good trying to check everyone's tickets after you've already let them into the concert. Continuous threat protection is not enough. I also need continuous trust verification. My user and device problem is far from solved, but that doesn't matter when I get pulled into a meeting to discuss the digital transformation of our company. That means re-architecting our IT systems to stay competitive, to innovate, to delight our customers. The first step is SD-WAN, which, as you know, is going to enable direct internet access from all our branch locations. Can you give me just a moment? Here's the problem with that. Do you know what happens on the internet? There may be repercussions. Sometimes I don't even get a lunch break. We'd better make sure it's secure, they tell me at the last minute. The network, that is, not the salad. We're already ripping out old hardware when I get asked to help. Security should be built in, not bolted on. Would you drive a sports car if the brakes were an afterthought? Simply put, if networking and security work together, we would be doing so much better. Like, do I want to be the Department of No? No, I want to be the Department of Not No, also known as Yes. I want to support transformation. Solving problems at scale is what I do. Like, despite all the hype, we are not moving everything into the cloud all at once. We are expanding into the cloud. We still have physical infrastructure to protect and a lot of devices to manage, like firewalls. I have to ensure firewall policies are consistent in thousands of locations across the globe, not to mention virtual appliances and native cloud firewalls. Our developers have access control lists in places they don't even know they had places. And I need it all to be consistent while business scales quickly. At the end of the day, security is a 24/7 job, and some days it feels like the grind is never going to stop. Oh, thanks. It should be so simple to accelerate business and secure our future, but I can't move past the problems of today.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Wright with Cisco, and let me be the first to welcome you to our very first Cisco Security Virtual Summit. I'm going to be your host for the next hour and a half and talk to you about all kinds of new things and some things that I think you already know, which is that your job is very difficult. I don't envy you, but we are here to help, and I specifically am here to help talk to you today and guide you through about how we are going to simplify your experience, accelerate your success, and secure your future with Cisco technologies. Now, a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, we want to make this interactive. I love talking to you, but you can also talk back to us. So be sure to click on the questions icon if you have questions for our panel, and they'll be able to respond. So talk to us. We want to hear what you have to say. Also, be sure to follow, share, and comment with us on social media. And definitely a URL that you're going to hear me refer to a few times today, but I want to make sure you know, cisco.com/go/security summit. This is a portal we've put together with a veritable cornucopia of resources and things that I know you're going to love. Things like free trials for some of our technologies, an opportunity to get the cybersecurity health check for your organization, some third-party reports from Gartner and Forrester, the great new reports that have come out, some other reports that Cisco has offered, our Cisco Cybersecurity Report Series. There's a place where you can sign up for the newsletter, and a link to my little baby, ThreatWise TV, where I have lots of guests come on and talk about our Cisco security technologies and what's happening in the industry. So be sure to bookmark that. Check out that resource. But before we get started, I've brought someone in that I think you are going to be able to empathize with very clearly, a former CISO who has felt the pain, and she's going to talk to us about some of the struggles that she went through. So when we come back, it's CISO Talk time with Wendy Nather. Security is difficult, and it's no more difficult for anyone than the CISO, the person who is ultimately responsible for the security of an organization. And that is why I've brought in a very special guest today, Wendy Nather. Wendy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your title, which I couldn't remember for the life of me earlier, and a little bit about what you do and where you've been in your career that makes you such a perfect guest for us today.
Yeah, why are you even listening to me? Why am I
know
even
why,
here?
but let's tell the audience why.
So I lead the advisory CISO team at Duo, which is now part of Cisco. And I used to work as a CISO in the public and private sectors. So I worked for one of the largest Swiss banks, and then I worked for a Texas state agency. So I went from having a really big budget to having a really tiny budget.
That sounds like quite a switch,
yeah.
Quite a bit of dichotomy.
And then I worked as an industry analyst for 5 years, and so I got to talk to literally hundreds of security vendors and learn about their products. Then I went to the retail ISAC, helping retailers share threat intelligence with each other.
Excellent.
And then I came to Duo, and now I'm part of Cisco.
And then we've had the acquisition almost a year ago now, I think?
I celebrated my first Cisco-versary.
Happy Cisco-versary.
Thank you.
So we're glad you're here because, like I said, I wanted to have your perspective as a former CISO about some of the challenges and problems in the industry, what you were facing and dealing with out there. So just open-ended, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that are facing CISOs trying to secure organizations?
Well, there are two main problems as I see them. One of them is the long tail of legacy technology. So no matter how old your organization is or how new it is, you usually have some kind of legacy technology that you've had for a long time that your business really depends on. And then you're building everything on top of that and getting some of the very newest stuff that your developers are bringing in, and you have to know how to secure all of it as the CISO, from the 40-year-old mainframe all the way to blockchain.
Right.
So even though everybody's excited about the new stuff, you still have to care about the old stuff too, and that tail is just getting longer every year.
Yeah, we often talk about the future and cloud migration, but there's still a lot of old school applications and operating systems that we still have to protect out there. So
yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
And the other problem is the complexity of doing this. And there are a lot of security products that out of the box assume that one size is going to fit all, and that's just not the case. One of the CISO's hardest jobs is trying to figure out how to fit those security controls into your particular environment.
Okay.
So most products assume that everybody's in the same Olympic-sized swimming pool, and nobody is. They're out on the open sea. Everybody's sailing the wild ocean, and there are storms, and there are krakens and squid and all sorts of things going on, and you have to figure out how to make the security work there. And then on top of it, there are products and infrastructure that don't talk to each other. They're in bits and pieces, and you have to figure out how to make those talk to each other, exchange data, work together. And sometimes you don't even know what you have. You don't have the visibility. It's very, very hard to get even an asset inventory.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of customers say, you know, just need to know what I have before I can go about securing those things, and I can't protect what I can't see. So that's something that's an age-old adage for some of the feedback that I've heard for sure.
Yeah, people say those are fundamentals, and they are,
Yeah.
but because they're fundamentals, it doesn't mean they're easy.
Yeah, yeah, and so on top of all that, you know, we talk a lot about talent shortage, and I'm wondering, is that a more recent trend, or has that been a trend for a while in the security industry? Did you have experience with that as well?
Yeah, that's a problem, and there are two types of talent shortage. I mean, you need to have people who understand your business.
Right.
So they can understand how to implement the security controls in it in an appropriate way. And they have to understand the very complicated security products that you have in there. And it can be very hard to find the 5 or 6 people who know this very complicated SIM product, for example.
Sure.
And then there are the people that you have to pay to sit in front of screens all day, and that's very hard to do too.
Yeah.
So we may be able to automate some of that, but certainly not all of it.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier, of getting these products to work together and share information allows us to automate some of that process so that we're not so reliant on the talent. The problem that we have is the talent shortage, and which I assume you would say as well, the budgeting. I mean,
yeah.
And you talked about that. I mean, having a massive budget for one organization and then probably a pretty small one. How did you manage all of that?
Well, it's true. When I was working for a Swiss bank, I helped to manage a $50 million budget. Jeez. And then when I started at the Texas State Agency, I came in my first day and I had no people. And they said, we need your budget request by 5 p.m. today. So I wrote down just like $2,000. I asked for a logging server and a few books. And the person I was reporting to scribbled it out, and she said, where do you think you are, the private sector?
From a $2,000 budget.
Yeah, so not even $2,000. I had zero.
Wow.
$0.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, so tell me a little bit about what it's like to have a huge budget and then to go to pretty much zero budget. I mean, we can't say that budget solves all the problems when you have the ability to do so many other different types of things out there, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, we've identified this in a new report that we've done called the Security Bottom Line, where we're talking about how much security do you really need, and is budget the thing to solve it? And it turns out it's not, because you can get a lot of money, but there are other elements that determine whether you can do security effectively, and those include expertise and capability and influence. So that's going to be in the report that you'll see very soon.
Excellent, excellent. And so if somebody wanted to learn a little bit more about that, they could go to cisco.com/go/security reports.
Right.
Right. And then if they wanted to learn a little bit more about what we're talking about all day today, that would be cisco.com/go/security summit. Well, this has been fantastic. Your perspective is absolutely invaluable to let us know what's going on out there. Wendy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So you've heard it from the front lines. We have too much out there to protect. We don't even know what's on our network sometimes. There's not enough time, there's not enough people, there's not enough talent. There's not enough resources, often not enough budget, although it takes more than money to secure an organization. So what are we doing to help? I'm very excited to say that Cisco is announcing that we are investing in a security platform. Now, to me, that means that we're making our technologies more integrated to simplify your experience with technologies like Cisco Threat Response, which is a single portal that integrates about 7 other of our security technologies so that you can not only see what's happening, but also respond directly from that single portal. That's a much more simple way to deal with threats out there, and it's going to save you a lot of time and resources out there. Your success is accelerated with Umbrella and our secure internet gateway that is able to be deployed lightning fast across many different deployment scenarios, working together with other existing security technologies and increasing your security capabilities. Now, we continue to add on to this functionality. It started off as just DNS, but we're going to talk about how we're adding additional features to make this a more robust cloud firewall solution. Also, your future is secured with Zero Trust and Duo. This means a lot of different things to a lot of people, and we're going to talk about that. But working with Duo as a platform to integrate with other technologies like AMP for endpoints. And we're going to show how we do that and continue to develop that scenario as well later on in the program. And finally, another great example of our platform-oriented approach and development is Cisco Defense Orchestrator with AWS. So now you can directly manage your security, policy, and group relationships between VPCs. This is essentially adding on to some of the recent additions that we have with Meraki and FTD, Firepower Threat Defense, to form a more platform-oriented approach. And that's what we're talking about today. Also, be sure to make this interactive. We want to hear from you. Okay, click on the questions icon if you have some questions for our panel, and let's talk it out. So let's dive in and get into some of the meat of this. When I talk about experience simplified and I talk about Cisco Threat Response, again, you've got a lack of resources. You need greater control with less effort. And to help talk about that, I've brought in Ben Greenbaum, who's an engineer with our Advanced Threat Solution. So, Ben, thanks for joining us, man.
Hi, thank you very much.
Good to see you again. Thanks for coming. So, we've kind of thrown this word around platform and platform-oriented approach quite a bit today. Tell us a little bit about what that word means to you in terms of a security product. What does a platform approach mean to you?
That's a great question. In my opinion, at least, a platform means that you have coordinated tools in your tool set. And they may belong to different products. They may be functions provided by different technologies. But because you're going to be using them together to accomplish a specific goal, they should work well together. They should look and feel the same. They should call the same concepts, the same words. We need a unified dictionary. They should be accessed via a single account. I shouldn't need to remember different credentials for every part of my workflow. Sure. And they should piece together well into a logical workflow. They should share information when both tools can use the same information. All of that is important to a platform approach.
Yeah, that's specifically something that is near and dear to my heart that I talk a lot about on my show, ThreatWise TV. But it's the integration, and it's not that we just bought a bunch of products to put on a price list and sell customers a bunch of stuff. We bought a bunch of products to make them talk together and work as a seamless solution, right? And so I know we've got some examples of that you're going to walk through with us, but let's talk about Cisco Threat Response as a new technology that we've had for a little bit, but we continue to evolve. And this is truly a great example of the platform approach of a single tool that works together with multiple tools and that speak in the same language. Tell us what CTR is at a high level.
Sure, you can think of Cisco Threat Response as an API aggregator. We're bringing all of the critical first response and investigative capabilities of these different tools, of these different products, together for our users in a single interface so that they're not jumping from tab to tab in their browser, from UI to UI. You brought it up earlier. We did grow our security portfolios through a series of acquisitions, which means we have a menu of products that were developed by engineers who at the time had never even spoken to each other because they were different companies doing different things. We brought them all together and started figuring out how to best make them work together. And Threat Response is the first customer visible example of this kind of platform approach.
Yeah, we've been kind of tying things together on the back end, but now we have a front end representation of that, right?
That's correct. It's the window, it's the portal, if you will, into the Cisco integrated security architecture. It's the story written down and made real.
So walk with me through what kind of products are integrated through this. I know we've talked about it on other shows that I've done. So I've seen email security appliance.
That's right.
Web security appliance technology. Coming soon. Okay. Firepower technology is very recently added. Okay. I know AMP for Endpoints was kind of the impetus for a lot of this, right?
It was one of the first, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that includes Threat Grid, which is kind of our malware analysis platform.
Yeah, it's the malware analysis and malware threat intelligence backend. Yes.
Did I miss any out of that?
When you're a threat response user, which if you have access to any of those products that Jason just mentioned, you are, you also get access to additional data sets that aren't necessarily included in any specific product, but that as a threat response user, you get access to because threat response has access to it. And that includes things like the AMP file reputation database. Even if you don't have AMP for endpoints, as a threat response user, you get access to that. That includes the Talos intelligence database and a couple others as well.
Fantastic. Okay, excellent. Well, I know you've got some demos lined up to show us some of the more recent integrations and developments on this, right?
Sure.
All right, let's get under the hat and take a look at that.
All right. To show how portable the combined power of the Cisco integrated security architecture is, I'm not even going to start this demo in threat response. I'm going to start it on the Talos blog. You're familiar with the Talos blog?
I am. This is blog.talosintelligence.com.
That's right. And they get to research a lot of really interesting things. They do a great job doing it, and often they'll record their findings in a public blog article that anybody can access. Right. And a lot of our customers use this as a resource to find information for which they want to hunt in their own environment, to see if they've been affected by this interesting and terrible thing that Talos is writing about.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start in the blog. And this article is about a DN espionage campaign that at the time started using a new variant of malware called Kharkov. And you can see as I scroll, there's a lot of deeply technical information in this blog article, and there usually is. They don't skim the surface. But they do mention a lot of indicators of compromise that people can look for to see if they've been affected by this thing. IP addresses, file hashes, domains, all of that. And they list these out at the bottom so that you don't at least have to go through the entire article and try to pick these things out. They are in a list near the bottom of the blog article when appropriate. Now, the old way prior to threat response would have been that the user had to pick out, for example, each of these hashes and copy and paste each one manually into any technology they may have that can detect file hashes in their environment.
Right, to search.
Exactly. The same is true for domains. You know, take out the square brackets, the safety brackets, so that nobody clicks on it by accident. Take those out, and then one by one, paste all of those domains into something that can search their web proxy logs or their DNS logs, etc. With threat response, you could copy this entire blog article and paste it into the Investigate interface, but with our browser plugin, you don't even have to do that anymore. You just click this button in the browser, and it essentially reads the article for you.
Okay.
And it's pulling out, obviously it doesn't translate to you or transmit to you all the detailed knowledge of how the malware operates, but it does pull out the observables and allows you to quickly react to those.
Okay.
So we see here that we've got many observables that have been found. We've got Snort, which has a clean reputation. It was mentioned in the headers or the footers of this article, so fair enough. We've already got all of these observables as well. Now on any one of these, we've got this drop-down menu next to it. And I can click on this and do further research from here, or I can even take response actions. So we see here that I can, under Umbrella, I can block this domain right here. I didn't have to go to Umbrella and find the edit your block list page and paste this in and then click save. I didn't even have to go to threat response.
Yeah, you still haven't stepped into
I haven't actually even gone to threat response yet, but I'm already using it to protect my environment in 2 clicks from a piece of malware infrastructure that I know I don't want my network talking to.
Right.
So now that I've done that, I've taken that initial action, done a little bit of triage. In a real investigation, of course, you would be doing more than that in a slightly different way. But just to show quickly what the capabilities are, I've taken one, stop the bleeding kind of step really quickly, and now I'm going to go into threat response for a full investigation on the entire set of these observables. So what threat response is doing right now is asking all of my integrated technologies, what do you know about this IP address? What do you know about this file hash? What do you know about this domain?
It's going through the list and kind of querying each of the technologies to see what they know about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't have to do all of that. I would have had to, individually copy and paste each one of these things into each one of those interfaces. But because they all work together as a platform, it's doing all of that work for me using the appropriate capabilities of each of those tools to do each of those lookups.
Simplify the experience, no more swivel chair management.
Exactly. And so now we see a couple of things about this set of observables. And the first thing we should see is 3 targets. Now, these targets were reported to me via different technologies. Umbrella has reported that it saw something communicating with one of those observables in the blog article. Firepower is telling me that I've had communications with one of the IPs in the blog article. Okay. And AMP for Endpoints is telling me that I have seen one of the files or one of the domains in the blog article on my endpoints as well.
Okay, 3 different products, 3 different perspectives, but all from a unified view and console here.
Exactly, showing me all of these things together in one interface. And I can take some additional actions here as well. It's telling me about a file that I didn't ask about. This is additional new information. I'm going to add that to the investigation as well. And now I'm going to find out why is it telling me about this file. And so now it's adding that file hash into my investigation, and I find out that this file was emailed into my environment. And I get information like who were the recipients of the email, what was the file name of the attachment.
So this is all the email security appliance or web security appliance putting information into the Cisco
This is
threat
the
response.
email security appliance responding to my queries about this file hash because it had seen the file hash. The web security appliance integration is coming real soon now, and it would also respond in similar fashion. Gotcha. But I now know that something is not okay with this endpoint because it has also seen the file. One of the recipient addresses of the email is the user that belongs to this machine. So I'm going to take a quick action. I'm going to go to this machine, and I'm going to start host isolation. I'm going to effectively drop this machine off the network, even if it's only temporarily, just so that any infection that may have started on it can be stopped.
So you've pretty much locked it down.
That's right.
Okay.
So that shows the way that we're bringing, in this case, 7 different technologies together. The information these technologies have, the response capabilities that these technologies have are all available to me in a single console. And these tools are working together as one, allowing me in just a couple of clicks to get a lot of information about what happened here and take some steps to protect ourselves from it.
Across multiple products from a single interface, that is simplifying the experience, saving customers time, and being able to do more with less.
Exactly. Saving not only analyst time, but reducing dwell time, reducing the amount of exposure that my organization has had to this threat.
So increasing time to detect, or decreasing time to detect.
Decreasing time to detect, yeah. Decreasing time to respond as well.
Yep, absolutely. Fantastic. I love this.
It's good stuff. I want to show you one more thing.
Okay.
We have a powerful advanced endpoint search feature coming up in the near future.
Right.
Host isolation was a powerful feature that was introduced in AMP for Endpoints and immediately made available via the AMP for Endpoints API. And so Threat Response was able to leverage that very quickly, which is why we already have it in the interface, even though it was only rolled out in the integrated product a couple of months ago. Advanced Endpoint Search is another similar idea because it's being introduced into AMP for Endpoints, but it's also going to be available over the API, and we will be able to leverage that in Threat Response in the near future.
Okay.
Let me show you how that works.
Let's see it.
This is the AMP for Endpoints interface that we're currently looking at. I have a device trajectory loaded for this computer named Bravo. We're going to view a quick snapshot. Now, Advanced Endpoint Search is based on OS Query, which is a technology that treats system state as a database. And we can write queries against that database and get detailed information. So an AMP Forensic Snapshot shows you a host of information about the host, no pun intended, including items that start up automatically on startup. What are the current listening ports on the system? What are the modules and processes that are loaded? What drives are mapped on the network? What network connections are currently active? What are the network interfaces? And so on. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but you can see it's very detailed, very deep forensic information.
So you're querying the state of the endpoints.
That's correct.
Okay.
And right now I'm querying the state of one endpoint, but this scales so well. So I can go from here to interface where I can launch a query of my own. I can do things like grab everything out of the system info table, which shows me all kinds of inventory information about that individual system. I can do things like look at all of the ports that are open and what processes are they tied to, what addresses are they listening on. Now, this is one machine for a demo, but remember, I could be running this against dozens, hundreds, tens of thousands of endpoints at once. And I can save this information. I can maintain a log. I can set it up to be automated so that I have a rolling history of the state of all of these machines over time. And I'll be able to do all of this from threat response as well, because since this is an investigative capability, we want it to be available in our investigations portal.
It sounds like it's not just saying, hey, am I vulnerable to this particular situation or scenario within my endpoints, but could be used for a little proactive threat hunting and blocking as well, right?
Absolutely. It can be used for detection. I can look up, does this registry entry exist? Because I happen to know that this registry entry is something that a piece of malware writes. Yeah. Do any of my machines have that? And I can search across 10,000 machines at once.
So if someone comes in and says, are we vulnerable to X? This could help answer that question.
It could help answer if they've already been attacked by X, and it could also help answer if they're vulnerable to certain kinds of activities, because you can do a full software inventory, including patch level and all of that.
Yeah, this is fantastic. The whole thing
is really going
together.
to add a whole lot of capability to your incident response and investigative capabilities through threat response and the portal approach.
And this is exactly what we talk about when we talk about a platform, being able to continue to use additional tools to accomplish the same goal from a single interface. That's fantastic. And that simplifies the customer experience, and that's what we've been going for.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for coming out on the show. So, the next thing that we need to talk about is how we accelerate success. This is going to be accomplished by being able to do many things in many different places to roll out security very quickly and efficiently and effectively. So we can do that in a lot of different ways in a lot of different places with our cloud security platform, which you may have heard of as called Umbrella. So to talk about that, I've brought in a very special guest, Johnny Noble, my old friend. Johnny, thanks for coming and joining us here.
Yeah, how's it going?
So thanks for sneaking in here. So let's talk about what's been going on with Umbrella. There's a lot of developments. I know we started off as a great cloud security platform, easiest security solution you'll ever roll out, but it was just focused on the DNS queries and what was happening there. And we started to expand a little bit, but now I know we've got some really great expansions and some improvements to what we've been doing. Tell us a little bit about the use cases and what we've been doing with Umbrella.
Right, so as you said, we're expanding Umbrella, we're taking it further. We've been very busy adding a lot of new services. So as you said, we started with DNS only, and that's what Umbrella was well known for, and that's what Umbrella did really well. But a lot of customers, even though that DNS layer gives a really nice layer of security, a lot of customers need more. They want full web inspection.
Sure.
So they want to inspect all web content. That could be for, for compliance, or it could be to give them more visibility, full URL visibility. So we've built a full web proxy or a secure web gateway into our cloud infrastructure.
All right, fantastic. So this is adding some deeper levels of inspection. We're still focused on web traffic specifically, but it sounds like we're laying seeds of a strategy to expand beyond that as well.
We
right?
are indeed, and I'll talk about that in a moment.
All right, we'll jump the gun then.
But by having full web visibility, it allows you to do more things. And one example, what you said, further capabilities, is the ability, for example, to control file types. We couldn't do that at DNS layer or even with the selective proxy.
Right. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. So we're taking this a step further as well, like you said, and we've also built in the cloud a cloud-delivered firewall. So this is great because it means that we're seeing all traffic come through our cloud infrastructure, and then we can separate it. So we've got DNS, we've got the web traffic, and we've got everything else, which is what's going through the cloud firewall.
Fantastic. So it sounds like we would have several use cases for this. I'm specifically thinking about branch offices. Obviously, I think that's kind of where Umbrella cut their teeth, right? Rolling out for very simple use cases where you need security, but you want to roll it out quickly, right?
Exactly, yeah. So as you said, branch strategy. This goes really nicely hand in hand with an SD-WAN deployment, for example.
That's where I was going next with it.
Yeah, well, I beat the gun for you there this time.
You jumped the gun, I jumped the gun, as long as guns are getting jumped.
So we've built this cloud firewall, and as you deploy your branches with direct internet access, which is where everyone's going today, it helps and it makes it a lot easier to move your security to the cloud and connect your branches to the internet directly through our platform. And there's a number of different use cases here. So one could be, for example, if I'm providing Wi-Fi access or internet access to my guests. Now, if you had no control over what your guests were doing before, you can control it. But not only that, your public IPs are no longer exposed to the internet. Everything will come via our infrastructure.
Right.
So the internet will, as it were, see the traffic coming out from our infrastructure and
instead
not
of the exposed branch office
right
there.
Yeah.
So that seems to me like it would also help with liability perspectives, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you need cybersecurity, for example, by the internet seeing our IP addresses, this is great for your bit site score, and bit site score is important for cybersecurity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about branch offices, direct internet access. We've talked about the complement to an existing SD-WAN infrastructure. But tell me a little bit about if a customer already has some devices on premise, why do they need an additional layer of inspection in the cloud?
That's a great question. So, even small branches, if I've got 1,000 branches, they're going to have some kind of a device there to connect them to the internet. Sure. In many cases, this might just be a very small device. It might not be very powerful. So by releasing this device of all the control and all the security services that it might be doing, moving it to the cloud, first of all, it releases the strain off these devices, but it's also making it future-proof. So, things like heavy lifting, okay, like HTTPS inspection.
Yeah, we're doing this in the traffic. That could really bog down even a powerful device.
Oh yeah, and today, it's 70-80% of the internet traffic is encrypted.
It just keeps going.
So it's making it future-proof, and also a lot of these small branches just don't have the manpower, the personnel in the branches to support the devices either. And then the other nice thing about this is that it's very easy to connect to our cloud infrastructure through these devices. So any device, whether it's a Cisco device or not, as long as it supports IPsec, we're building an IPsec tunnel from the network edge through that device to our cloud.
So they're kind of VPNing into our inspection domain.
As it were, yeah.
As it were. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay, and so to me that kind of sounds like it's future-proofing for the customer so that they don't have to keep building infrastructure. But it's also future-proofing their level of security because, as we've mentioned, we've already moved from DNS to a proxy solution. We intend to go further with full layer 7 and application support, right?
Yes, we're doing all that.
Excellent. So as we continue to add more and more functionality and features to our offering, the customer continues to benefit without having to roll out new hardware, new products, and updates and things like that, right?
Exactly, totally. Okay. And benefiting from Cisco Security and from AMP and Talos and all of the services they're running in our cloud.
So that sounds like a great way to accelerate security deployment, right? And continue to future-proof your investment, which is another one of our benefits that I've talked about and we're going to talk about in the next segment.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about what we've actually got to show the audience today. I'd love to see some functionality in the product. Are you ready for a demo?
I'm always ready for a demo.
Good man.
Let's hope that the demo gods are shining on us today. So I mentioned the way you connect to our cloud, and we're going to look now at the tunnels. So here we've got a number of tunnels connected. You can see 3 of them are active right now, so we're sending traffic up to the cloud. I mentioned also that it's very easy to connect to our cloud. So you can see here a number of different Cisco devices, but also non-Cisco devices. Just select other. Like I said, anything that can do IPsec, you can use that to connect to our cloud. So once you've got your tunnels up and running, what you do is you would set your policies. So looking at the policies now, up to now we've had DNS policies, which you might be familiar with, or people might be. We've added the firewall policy and the web policy. So the way it works is the web policy is for web traffic, firewall policy is your layer 3, layer 4, and as you already know, and you mentioned layer 7 is coming soon as well. So you set your policies. And then you've got a number of different reports you can run. You can see your firewall traffic, you can see your web traffic, what was allowed, what was blocked, why it was blocked, who the users were, where they were egressing from, and things like that. And then the last piece that is really cool, and I really want to show you this, is under our, if we're going to take a look now at our app discovery report. So this is the last piece of the puzzle where we're pulling in our CASB intelligence as well. So this is a really nice report because this covers shadow IT. So this is going to tell the admin all the crazy apps in the cloud that have been used. And we can see here in this organization, more than 3,000 apps have been used.
Jeez, that stat's always a shocker. You know, most people think, oh, 7, 10,
no,
and it's usually like at least
like,
30 or 50.
And this could be an organization with maybe 1,000 users or so. More than 3,000 apps have been used. And then the really nice thing about this is we can go in and we can control them. So it's all in one single dashboard. You set up your policies, you run your reports, see who's been doing what, see the apps that have been used, and then you can control them. So from this report, you can go back and control the policy. So just as an example, let's see who's been using Dropbox in my organization recently. So we can see, 1,300 DNS requests in the last few days. Let's control this. So if I want to come in, not only can I control if it's going to be allowed or blocked, but I can go a step further. And this is another functionality through the full proxy. We can say, well, allow the users to use Dropbox, but we're going to prevent them from uploading. So we've got granular control over apps.
For how they use the application.
Exactly. And you can do that for a number of different apps as well.
It seems like so much of what you've been able to get out of a purpose-built appliance with lots of features, you're starting to move up into the cloud and allow that functionality up there. So this is great progress, man. And this is exactly what we've been talking about today, where it speaks to the platform-oriented approach that we can continue to add on, we continue to integrate other technologies with. So I love the fact that you showed us all this today. So thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks,
I appreciate you.
A pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to break for just a few seconds to do a couple of things around the set, and we'll be right back, so stay tuned. All right, welcome back, everybody. And don't forget, if you want to follow along, catch a replay, catch some of our free trial offers for a lot of the products that you've been hearing about today, or even catch some reports, some of our reports that we're writing in our security report series, or some third-party analyst reports, one of which we're going to talk about at the end of our next segment here, go to cisco.com/go/security summit, and you'll be able to find out a whole host of resources there for your perusal to be able to check out during, after, not before, this entire show. So right now, we're going to segment over and shift gears a little bit and talk about securing your future with our Zero Trust ecosystem. And to do that, I've brought in the head of products, Ash Devada, that came over from Duo Acquisition. Ash, welcome back.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for joining us today. So tell me a little bit, because I hear Zero Trust used a lot. Okay, that word gets thrown around.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit overhyped even at times. I think you would agree. Tell me, what exactly does that mean to you?
So, before we talk about Zero Trust, let's talk about what's happening with the customers.
Okay.
Across the world, they're going through a lot of change. Their business models are getting disrupted. They're figuring out how do they deliver value faster in an easier fashion to the customers. There's mobile workforce. That's a major change that is happening with a lot of organizations. All these things, people call digital transformation.
Sure.
As that is happening, one of the core components is how do you enable safe and secure access to all your users, all the new things you're putting in your environment, or all the new applications you're trying to design.
Right.
And the concept of Zero Trust is a key component of that. All it's trying to say is, irrespective of where you're trying to access or what you're trying to access, you always want to verify the trust of you or the device you're trying to use.
Absolutely.
Or the thing that is trying to get accessed.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about how Cisco enables Zero Trust in our technologies and how we offer that solution to our customers.
Yeah. So at the core, again, for Zero Trust is all about securing access. Okay. And at Cisco, we've been trying to do that for several years now. And we work with a lot of customers. In fact, tens of thousands of customers. And what we found is it really falls into three main buckets.
Okay.
The first one is what we're calling Zero Trust for Workforce. That is where you're trying to figure out how do you enable people. So you're trying to access box.com. I'm trying to access SharePoint portal. If I'm trying to access it from a coffee shop versus the boardroom and so on and so forth, it's different scenarios.
Sure.
So Zero Trust for Workforce is all about verifying the trust of a user, that's you and I, or verifying the trust of a device. So it can be my laptop, my mobile device, and so on. Every time we're trying to access a corporate resource.
So getting the right user or device into the application that they're trying to get
Exactly. And the application can be box.com, can be your SSO portal, can be your
VPN.
VPN, Unix application, you name it. So that's the first pillar, the workforce. The second one, what we find is very interesting. We call it zero trust for workload.
Okay.
It's more of a DevOps application use case. So if you think about modern applications, they have tens of thousands of moving components. Databases, microservices, containers, virtual machines, APIs.
These are all the routes throughout which the application is able to perform.
Exactly, exactly. Okay. So you want to figure out what's happening, what component is trying to access what component, and is it the right level of access? For example, if you're designing a custom application, can the API from your Google Cloud environment access this new database someone launched for the application team in Amazon?
Okay.
So that's what the product we have around workload helps satisfy.
Okay,
the product, by the way, is called tetration.
So workforce and workload, and using tetration, which I know gets very granular into what the application is doing at the container level and can provide a whole lot of statistics and even policy around access control. Okay.
And the last one is the traditional one, which every organization has challenges today, which is what we call workplace.
Okay.
And it is all about, the classic use case is the office building. What is connected to the network inside the office building, from printers, cameras, desktops, you name it. But the big traction we see there is healthcare and operational technology or manufacturing. We were talking with a healthcare customer recently, and they did a major assessment using Cisco technology, and they found that a lot of dialysis machines, heart pump monitoring systems are randomly talking with laptops connected to the network.
Yeah.
That's not the right setup.
Right.
So our technology in the workplace can help you segment these devices and enable them to talk with only the things they should really be talking with.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about how we are expanding Duo and leveraging that technology to integrate with the rest of the security portfolio and the other security technologies that we have from Cisco. Have we got to a point where we've got some integrations there yet?
Yeah. I mean, it's been more than a year since we became part of the larger Cisco family.
Yeah. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and happy anniversary to all our customers.
Absolutely.
We work very hard. We have dozens of integrations with Cisco products. The one I'm very excited about is our native integration with AMP for Endpoint.
Okay.
That is coming out very soon.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do there is a lot of customers have spent a lot of money and resources deploying AMP for Endpoint to detect if a device is compromised in real time.
Sure.
And what we're trying to do now with this integration is AMP for Endpoint can tell Duo the moment it finds a device compromised.
Interesting.
And Duo can immediately block that machine from accessing any corporate resources.
Okay, so if AMP for Endpoints has seen a piece of malware, let's say, on an endpoint, and we were able to stop it, but you still don't trust that machine until maybe it's been re-imaged, then you're saying, well, let's restrict access to the corporate resources until we get that machine taken care of.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's a health posture verification.
Yeah, and I've got a demo set up for that. But the key here is we're not blocking the user, we're blocking only the device. And it's happening in real time with full automation.
So if I was blocked by using my laptop because my laptop was infected, but I could still get access through my mobile device.
Yeah, or a guest laptop.
Same user, just a different device is what's making the difference.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see a demo. Let's get under the hat and take a look at that. I always love seeing demos, and I know you're prepared for one. So show us what we got here.
So what you're seeing here is the policy engine of Duo, and where you can configure a lot of different policies on who can access what under what conditions. And this is a new policy we have for AMP for Endpoint, as you're seeing on the screen. This is where you're pretty much saying, allow AMP for Endpoint to block compromised devices through the Duo integration. And this is a common use case. A lot of customers already do this, but they do it through their SOC workflows, their Security Operations Center, where you have analysts manually doing this stuff.
Right.
So what this native integration enables is an automated way to enforce these controls without any manual intervention.
Okay, so you said native integration was something I keyed in on there. So this is like out of the box, ready to work together?
Yes, it's not GA yet, so a disclaimer to everyone.
Okay.
But we're working on it. We have private beta customers that are giving us very good feedback. And for customers that are using AMP for Endpoint and Duo together, this is a significant value.
This is also exactly the kind of point that we've been making throughout the show today, talking about the platform approach, right? It's extensible. You are allowed to make it interact with other technologies, and now we're not just talking about individual products that you buy piecemeal. We're talking about a solution that's working together. And I love that you're saying that it's right out of the box, not a whole lot of configuration or services required to tie all this together. So that's important. Yeah. But making this stuff work together and communicate this information to work as a platform, that's the real point that we're talking about today. Yeah. So fantastic. Tell us a little bit about some verification I know that we got recently, right? We were recently cited in a Forrester report. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so do we have a graphic of that, right? Yeah, we could show our audience here. Yeah. So we'll show them and talk us through a little bit about what you've seen here from Forrester.
Yeah, so I was super excited about it. You know, Forrester has been working with a lot of customers and vendors to see how do you actually classify all the vendors based on the capabilities they have around Zero Trust. Mm-hmm. We're super excited to say that we are now a leader in the Forrester Wave.
Fantastic.
And we're actually the vendor that scored the highest scoring from a capability perspective for Zero Trust.
Absolutely. Well, one last question I want to ask before I let you go is that you talked about a lot of different technologies. There's a lot to do. There's some that are interacting and putting all this together. Where do you recommend a customer to start? Where's the first place that they want to begin when they're looking at rolling out a Zero Trust enabled environment?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of customers try out different things. You know, we've got maturity models and so on. The number one area we strongly recommend for customers to start is with Workforce.
Okay.
And the reason for that is it's the easiest to start.
Sure.
It's a SaaS application. You can literally sign up within 5 minutes. But it's also one of those areas where you'll see a really impressive time to value. So you can roll out multi-factor authentication for your entire user base in a few weeks. You're getting deep visibility into all the endpoints you have. And you can go to your boss and say, hey, we worked on this project for 1 month, and we're able to see these kind of insights. We're able to reduce the risk of credential compromise this much.
Yeah.
So the time to value or the bang for your buck is pretty high for Workforce.
All right, excellent, man. Well, listen, I love what I'm hearing. I love that Duo has already become a part of our ecosystem, but even more importantly, that it's starting to interact with our other technologies. That is going to allow customers to keep investing and secure their future in multiple different ways. But I love that we've got an entire solution around not just multi-factor authentication, but a much broader strategy around securing the applications and segmenting what is talking to each other out there. So fantastic, man. So thanks so much for coming on the show and talking to us. We're going to get our next guest in here, so we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jason.
So we've talked a lot about a lot of different technologies and a lot of different products and new things that we're bringing to the table. But there's also another component that's kind of been a little bit of Cisco's best kept secret, and we want to reveal that secret and make sure that everybody knows about the Talos Threat Intelligence and Research Group. These are the people that are researching vulnerabilities and events and all these threats that we're seeing out there, and making sure that our products are able to not just block them, but share that information that we've been talking about so much. And so recently, we've actually reorganized and brought our incident response team, people who are responsible for coming in and saving the day when things go really bad, underneath the Talos umbrella there. So they're actually part of the Talos group now. So I've brought in another guest, a good friend of mine, Brad Garnett, manager of the Cisco Talos Incident Response Team, to talk to us more about it. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jason. It's great to be here.
Tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing on a day-to-day basis. I know not everybody knows about Talos. We're trying to get the word out there about the research organization. Not everybody knows that we have incident response services. Mm-hmm. But tell us a little bit about what you do with that group.
We're there for our customers oftentimes on their worst day, right? When they're just been notified by a 3-letter agency that they've had a breach or an incident. But then also, too, during those calm seas when they're not experiencing it, and helping them get better at their threat management capability, exactly what they're trying to do. Right. Having an incident response plan, testing that incident response plan, having a capability so when you experience an incident, you're able to respond to that incident.
Not if, but when.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what are some of the things that you're hearing our customers ask for, especially because I heard you mention that we help plan, not just respond when things go wrong, but help plan for the inevitable. What are people asking for in that kind of scenario?
Yeah, so from a proactive standpoint, one of our most popular services that we have with the Talos Incident Response Retainer is tabletop exercises. A majority of the tabletop exercises that we are doing today are actually with that senior leadership and C-level audience within the customer organization. So it's, as we're aware in this space, it's definitely a boardroom conversation, right, from a incident response perspective.
Okay, perfect. So are they specifically asking for certain technologies, or are they more in a strategic level planning with your organization?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of both, right? Customers do not need another threat feed. They need that intelligence enriched, right, which is where we come in. They don't need to purchase another threat feed. They want a single platform, a single solution, right, to be able to respond, right, and effectively respond to threats when they're faced with those threats.
Certainly a recurring theme that we've talked about and heard throughout the day here, for sure. So tell us a little bit about what it means for the organization and for the customer, more importantly, now that we are bringing the incident response group underneath the Talos fold here.
Yeah, I mean, on an ad hoc manner, we've worked with the Talos, our research team for the last 3 or 4 years, right, since since the inception of the incident response team. Great relationship with our intelligence folks. So this, I mean, everyone's excited. You know, on the incident response team, we're excited to have that where IR is feeding Intel, Intel is feeding IR. So we're all coming on one umbrella. It's not just a rebranding. It's really an organizational change, right? And bringing some of the best resources. And we've seen that recently, actually, with a financial customer in Latin America that actually was experiencing an incident and just reached out to us, right, through their IR on-demand channel. We were able to help them within probably 30 minutes or less be able to provide them some real intelligence, something that they could take back to their organization, but also communicate to their leadership as well, as far as the threat goes.
Fantastic. So speaking of communication, there's something that you mentioned that I want to key in on and kind of double click on a little bit, was sharing information from the IR team to Talos and back and forth. So tell me a little bit about how that information is transposed and communicated there.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's really the power of Cisco and what we do that no one else can do. Aside from the shared telemetry that we have, the collaboration platforms that we have, WebEx meetings, WebEx Teams, right? That virtual war room that we can create. And we bring in our Intel team with that, right, during an incident. I can think of a recent case that we experienced earlier this year, the Oracle WebLogic vulnerability, which actually was a 0-day, right? Most incidents are not 0 days, right? Where the adversary was actually leveraging a 0-day. Customer reached out to us, and we were quickly, within several hours, to help them contain that incident.
Fantastic. So I imagine you have 100 different stories. I'd love to hear more about them over beers like that sometime. For sure. Maybe beers with Talos.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Which is a great broadcast, by the way. Everybody loves that. But that's the kind of thing that's really interesting to me. So you had a customer that had an actual 0-day, and when that term gets thrown around quite a bit, right?
It really does. And then here we are as the experts, working with the customer and educating them exactly what a 0-day is, right?
Sure. So you guys were able to, these were a customer that was like on a retainer, and so they called in when they had a problem, and
yeah, and that's what's great, right? You look at the full life cycle of intelligence and incident response, right, and really the value of having a retainer. Right, like when we saw with NotPetya back in 2017, 6 minutes for a major organization's infrastructure to go down, right?
I remember that.
NDAs have to be in place, all these things. Minutes really do count during an incident. Our average response time is usually a little over 16 minutes, right, where a customer has a retainer. So this specific example, the customer reached out on a Saturday, right? We always like to joke in incident response. It's always Fridays at 4 o'clock when the incident kind of kicks off.
Hackers are trying to catch you when you're not paying attention, right?
Exactly.
They're not stupid. They're not ethical, but they're not stupid.
Exactly. They innovate, right? So, and that's what we want to do. We want to make the bad guys constantly innovate, right? Yeah. So this particular customer reached out on a Saturday. I remember being at my kid's soccer game and getting that phone call, right? For every incident that we do, we assign an incident commander. They are basically playing quarterback and working that full incident. They are responsible for that incident from the Cisco side, from the customer side. Third parties, which we saw recently as well. We worked a global incident recently between us, other third-party IR providers, and multiple people, and leveraging our collaboration platform and our technologies to basically manage an entire global incident across 2 continents.
That's fantastic. And I love what you were talking about there is with the third-party technologies, right? I mean, we've talked a lot about Cisco today, and we've got some great technologies, and we think we're building the best platform and some of the best solutions. But we don't do everything. And we know that not every customer is going to have a complete Cisco security environment. Fair. So tell us about what it takes to work with those third parties. And I mean, are there limitations, or are all the standard players there and supported and able to be worked with?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing where we take pride in having that street cred. And what I mean by that is not only technology vendors, but also other companies such as insurance providers, law firms, all these different third parties that a customer is going to bring in during an incident. Knowing that, hey, Cisco Talos Incident Response is here, they play well with others, right? We've been brought in. Again, we can do everything, right? Almost everything, right? From a pure IR perspective, but we're going to do what's best for the customer at the end of the day. We're going to fail forward, fail fast, but we're always going to defend our customers no matter what. That's our objectives, that's our mission, and that's what we're focused on.
That just kind of goes back to what we've heard, is that organizations are steadily using outsourced resources to help them secure their environments. We want to be a partner with the customer, but in order to do that, it's not about pushing Cisco products. It's about making sure that the customer is taken care of, defended, and is getting what they need instead of pushing our own agenda, right?
Yeah, I mean, we take pride on being agnostic. It doesn't matter the tools or technology the customer has, we will respond, right? Where we're most successful is when a customer does have our technology. The WebLogic vulnerability that I just spoke of, that actually 0-day where the adversary was trying to deploy ransomware, they had AMP, they had our tools, they were actually doing PCAP, packet capture, which actually helped us within 4 hours contain that, but then also provide research, which we published on the Talos blog, which generated additional research on this ransomware family earlier this year.
Yeah, and the Talos blog is another great resource. So, man, this has been a fantastic conversation. I love hearing about not just Cisco technologies, but the fact that we're working with third parties, the fact that we're able to offer these kinds of services to customers and be there for them and partner with them as they need it. When the inevitable happens, we'll got their back on that one as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Thanks so much for swinging by.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Jason.
So, coming towards the close of our broadcast here, give me 1 second. I'm going to stretch my legs, grab a glass of water, and we'll be right back. All right, thanks, man.
If I look a little bit more relaxed, it's because I am. I got control back. Some, anyway. I got the right coffee, security got, well, simpler. Sure, the job is demanding. It always will be. But now I have time to do what I am good at, securing our business for the future. My colleagues even laugh at my jokes. The users and devices are still there, but now I have a zero-trust journey covering workforce, workload, and workplace. Our SD-WAN transformation is ahead of schedule with built-in security from the cloud. And as for managing firewalls at scale, whether it's legacy hardware, new branch platform, or native in AWS, I can do that from my browser. It turns out our largest IT partner, the provider of our infrastructure and services, is best qualified to deliver our security too. Cisco helps me secure today and the future. So much so that sometimes my day starts with a weak coffee and ends with happy hour.
Well, we had some fun with the video, and we had a lot of fun with our guests here today, but I want to make sure that everybody walks away knowing a few key things. Number one, first and foremost, Cisco is investing in a platform-oriented approach and development strategy. We're not developing products individually anymore. We're developing them to work together, to communicate, so that we can simplify your experience, like we do with Cisco Threat Response, multiple technologies in a single interface. Like we do with Umbrella, where we continue to add functionality and you can deploy your security in multiple different places lightning fast. And your future secured with Duo and Zero Trust, multiple different areas that we're developing there, but we continue to expand the Duo platform to be able to communicate with other security technologies. Even CDO in AWS, that's our Cisco Defense Orchestrator in Amazon, which directly manages your security policy and the group relationships between the VPCs. And then finally, our Managed Detection and Response Service for detection, investigation, and response 365, 24/7, because we want to be a partner. We don't just want to be a product vendor, we want to partner with you. So that's important to us. So if you want a little bit more information, as I mentioned, cisco.com/go/security summit, free trials, your cybersecurity health check, third-party reports, Cisco reports, our newsletter, and of course, our ThreatWise TV links, posted by yours truly. So thank you so much for allowing me to host you today. Be sure to stay safe out there. We'll be watching.